All right, welcome back to Calling the Audible. It's the last week of the regular season. I'm Iggy Magnets. This is Manu Alarrois. Welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome to the show, Manu.
Thank you, Iggy. I'm glad to be here today and talk about the final week of FPF action, heading into the playoffs soon, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at you with the professional camera with the blur in the background, looking sharp, Manu.
Hey, man, you have to.
There you go. Very well. Job well done on last week's episode with Jerome. Thank you for filling in. It's going to be first of many for you two. So good job there.
Thank you, Iggy.
All right, Manu, it's going to be somewhat of a quicker show here to run down the last week of the regular season in FPF. So let's get the introductions out of the way. Of course, like I said, last week of the regular season for the spring season. Of course, we've mentioned it all season. We're going to do it one more time. Take a look at your rosters. Make sure that the guys and girls that have 4 games played are going to be able to make your last game, maybe last 2 games of the season, because again, playoff eligibility is 5 games required for your players. And if you have anyone that has been injured, whether it's during the season and they are now healthy, they can get games played with a medical doctor's note. We've been getting some emails coming in asking a bit more precision on that. You definitely need the doctor's note. Maybe someone got injured during the season and is not capable of coming back to the playoffs. You can transfer the games played onto another player. There are some specifications. Can't just bring Pat Jerome in to play in Division E. There's some regulations. Of course, you always have to respect the cap. But there are certain criteria that you have to meet in order to replace someone correctly. So definitely those 2 things. Make sure your roster is set for the playoffs. And then Manu, the other very big announcement that FPF has, a 5v5 tournament hosted by Flag Plus Football happening Saturday, August 17th, Sunday, August 18th. Received an email if you are part of our mailing list. If you're not part of our mailing list, sign up and receive our emails now. And as well, we are. It's going to be Saturday when this episode goes. A little glitch in our scheduling for Calling the Audible, but by the time this show goes up, there will be an Instagram post that you're going to be able to click a link in the bio and description of that post, so you'll be able to sign up there. Manu, what do you think of a 5v5 tournament here?
I love it. It's very cool that FPF goes in the way of the tournaments. I think the tournament vibe is much different than a regular season. For example, 10 games, you play them in 10, 12 weeks. Now you have like all your games in the same day. Playoffs or the tournament happens in the second day, so you have the win and continue, or lose and you're out. I find that these types of tournaments are really cool. They bring the community together, and it's just fun to be at the same place the whole day. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm definitely gonna register a team for this tournament, and I hope you guys too, because it's very fun. Especially guys, players that don't play 5v5, you can sign up and try it. You'll see if you like it or not. If you prefer the 6v6.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with like our first season of 5v5, right? We had 7 teams sign up in the competitive division. Maybe a lot of people were a little hesitant at first. They didn't necessarily want to sign up a full team for, $2,000+. The registration is $500 for a team for the weekend. There will be a cash prize to sign up for a men's division. Cash prize there. Sign up for a women's division. Those details on the exact amounts TBA for now, but they will come out as soon as registration start flowing in. But yeah, in general, for teams that didn't necessarily want to participate in a full 10 regular season. This is kind of your chance to get the feel for it, the vibe for it, in a 2-day tournament hosted by once again FPF. There'll be barbecue, music, 5 fields going on at once, so it's going to be one big FPF party there. But not just limited to FPF. We're gonna be inviting a lot of out of province teams as well. A lot of Ontario teams, especially in the women's category. Always say like, hey, we want to play the best of the best. And you know what? That's how we're going to start this show right now. We're going to jump right away into the women's division, women's A. And when we're talking about these Ontario teams that want to play against the best of the best, of course, we're talking about our women's Canadian national champions, for example, Cayenne playing in our women's Sub-Zero, of course, didn't go to the nationals, but are looking to make a candidacy to be part of the Olympic team in LA in 2028. So let's just have a conversation here about the Quebec women's teams in tournaments as Canadian national champions. Let's just start the conversation with your general thoughts.
Yeah, I feel like. But first of all, congrats to Cayenne. It's a big accomplishment to go out there and to win the tournament, the national tournament. It's very cool to see. I feel like women's flag is constantly evolving and constantly being more popular. So it's fun to see that Quebec is representing flag in a national and even in a world level. Cayenne, Sub-Zero, and there's many more teams coming. And I feel like bringing the Ontario teams is very interesting also because you have girls that also in Ontario flag, touch football is popular too, but flag football is there too. So it's fun that you bring those teams and to make them compete against the best of the best. And also for teams that didn't necessarily make their name, it's fun to go out there and face these teams, give you the best competition and play against the best girls out there. So I feel it's very, very cool, and it's going to be fun to see in the tournament coming up in August.
Yeah, that's it. So I've been starting to dive into the a little bit of the Ontario football world, and like you said, it's very touch dominant still, where the trend is starting to go into the flag world. So that transition is starting to happen. And in listening to one of their podcasts, they're called the Double Outs podcast that they have. So a little shout out to those guys over there doing some great work. But listening, they had one of their quarterbacks from the Rivals football team, girls from Ontario, a traveling team. They had one of the quarterbacks, Amanda, go onto the show, and she was saying we're always looking for tournaments to go to in Quebec, and we don't, we struggle to find it. So we're going to be pushing, and extending the invites to those Ontario teams because she said it herself. She's like we want to face the best of the best, and Quebec is the premier, the top class, gold level in flag football and in football in general. So it's cool to hear that from them. And so definitely we want to extend the invite, and honestly the women's flag, we're expecting more teams to sign up for the 5v5 than the men's tournament, honestly. So definitely going to be an interesting turnout. Let's see how that goes. But like you said, it's the women's flag, man. It's growing at an incredible rate. And the talent is insane, and it's now flowing, of course, into our co-ed division. And my God, I wasn't even part of the first co-ed leagues when I don't know, maybe 2016, 2017, but I've heard from other people, right? Have seen it from day one to now, and they're like, it is night and day. It used to be that you could pick on the girls because that was the weak point on teams. That's not the case anymore, Manu. You look at your team with Vultures, Chantel Chippy Brown, elite level player, Gigi Cabello Abante, Emma Townsend Aslan, and these players are just getting better and better. It's not about men or women. The more reps you get, the better this game. And I just love to see the explosion of talent that's being displayed. You guys talked about it, you and Jerome, Did you want to carry on there?
Yeah, no, definitely I agree. It's very cool to see that girls can compete with the guys and go out there, and you got girls in the top five in receiving yards, top
Love
five
it.
in sacks, top five in interception. Maybe I'll have to check, but yeah, the women's flag is still growing, and the girls are starting very young. So, primary school, I think that they even start flag, and then secondary school, high school, they got flag all the way through CJEP, and university is like the highest level for flag. FPF is like more of the senior, if you want, for girls that aren't going to. But even then, the university teams play in FPF and go into different multiple tournaments. So I really like the way women's flag is where it's going, and it's going to keep on growing. So I'm very happy to see and looking forward to the tournament to see who's going to challenge those Cayenne and Sub-Zero teams.
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely stay tuned for that. More information there, but for sure, a lot of excitement building for an FPF 5v5 tournament. So let's hand it down over to the women's B talk here now,
Yep.
Manu. Manu, Wolfpack. They started
Yeah.
the season 6-0. Everyone, kind of crowned them. Oh, this might be the number one team. And 2 weeks later, back-to-back weeks, back-to-back losses against Red Nation and Ibu. And even you and Jerome talked about it last week. Speaking about whether maybe the dominant Ibu defense would be able to slow down that high-powered Kamizuma offense, and they did, and with authority, beating them 41-12, if I'm not mistaken, was the score.
Yeah.
So what do we make of Wolfpack at this point in the season? Are you concerned about Wolfpack heading into the playoffs?
I'm a bit concerned, especially because of the way they lost to Ibu, only scoring 12 points. It's a bit concerning to me, but at the same time, Ibu is a really great team. It's a team that, like we said, they played CJEP, but they grew together throughout the years, and it's a tough matchup for sure. For Wolfpack, they're still after a 6-2 with 2 games left against Supernova and Les Boys, which aren't like the top of the top teams. I think they can go out there, still treat them like big games, and hopefully put them some statement win or good wins to go in the playoffs with a little bit more momentum. That loss to Red Nation was a 1-point loss, so it's still a tight game, but only scoring 18 points and 12 points in the last 2 games.
Yeah,
That's a bit concerning to me.
it's-
And when I look at the game against Ibu, Kamizuma only threw 1 pick. So it must have been Ibu defense stopping them 4 and out. Maybe they went past midfield and weren't able to score. So got to give credit to the Ibu defense and the offense also scoring 41 points.
Yeah.
So I would say to answer your question, I'm slightly concerned, but at the same time, I wouldn't raise the alarm to say that Wolfpack are still in a good spot, and with 2 games left, they can still go out there, win those 2 games, and go in the playoffs with an 8-2 record, which is really, really good. But yeah, it's maybe there's something in the offense that didn't click in those 2 games. Hopefully, they can bounce back.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have to agree partially and partially disagree with some of the things you said. In terms of that they're gonna have to treat both games. I agree that they're gonna have to treat their last 2 games seriously. But I disagree in what you said that like they're kind of weaker competition right now. Supernova sitting at the number 2 seed with a 7-2 record. So I think they have a good challenge ahead of them there to finish the season strong. Yes, Les Boys a bit of a weaker team. Maybe that can give them some confidence going into the playoffs. But I think the bigger confidence game is going to be able to put a good 44 minutes and 10 plays. Actually, no, it's 5v5 rules.
Yeah.
Of course, we're talking women's. So 20 minutes 40 minutes, just 40,
Yeah, yeah.
40 minutes of good play. And do that against Supernova, and that's the game that's going to give them more confidence. Because yes, you're right, 18-12. That is not necessarily what we've seen and been accustomed to from the Wolfpack offense. So for me, they need to score at least 28 points against a pretty good Supernova defense if they really want their confidence to be high going into the playoffs. So the other topic here for Women's B, Manu, as we as I said last week of the regular season, the last playoff spot pretty much comes down to Les Boys and A-Town here. The teams do play off face off against each other.
Yes.
Now, Les Boys still have 3 games remaining on the schedule. A-Town with 2. How do we see this shaking down? Who gets in? Who's on the outside looking in?
Well, I think that having the 3 games left gives a huge advantage to Les Boys. They also came out of a loss 19-12 against Red Nation, which is promising because Red Nation is a very, very good team. They've been getting better and better throughout the season. So I think that Les Boys can bounce back against Les Petites Miettes. Then after that, like you said, it's going to be the big game on Sunday, July 14 against A-Town. That's probably going to decide who's gonna go into the playoffs. And then you have Wolfpack to end the season. It's a tough matchup for sure. Like we said, Wolfpack is coming out two game losing streak. So they're probably going to be hungry for those 2 last games. Yeah. But it's a good challenge for Les Boys that can go out there and prove that we're there to stay. We can make the playoffs, and we have our place in the playoffs. Not a one and done team. We can go make a run. For A-Town, it's gonna be more difficult. Only 2 games left, and they got one against Les Boys is their next game, and playing against Wildcats. Man, it's gonna be very tough for A-Town to make it. But if they can win those 2 games, they have a shot. But it's gonna take a little bit more scoring on their side. The good thing is they won their last game against Wildcats 40-8. So that's something good to see. That was a dominant win from A-Town. And if they can keep that momentum and bring him to both games, because both games are important. You can't only win one game. So you're going to have to win your 2 last games.
Yep.
And then hopefully you get Les Boys drop 1 or 2 in between. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think Les Boys have a easier path to the playoffs, but don't count out A-Town. They can still make some damage.
Yeah, that's it. Because I do see A-Town beating Wildcats. Wildcats, very new to the flag world. A-Town has a little bit more experience, you can tell. Not as much necessarily as the heavy hitters in the division like Red Nation, Supernova, and Wolfpack. But Les Boys have a bit of a tougher schedule. Like you said, it's really going to come down to that big game on Sunday, July 14th, Laval outdoors. So hopefully the conditions are good enough so that it doesn't limit either team's offense or defense. So definitely a game to watch out for. 9 o'clock if you are in Laval. Maybe stick around after your 8 o'clock game and check out that one because both teams are going to be very hungry to get into the playoffs. Manu, let's switch over to exactly. Manu, we're going to talk about a team in Division D that you and I know quite well. No pun intended. Speaking about women's B playoff race, it comes down that no pun intended may have a chance at squeezing themselves into the playoffs. What's the scenario here for them, Manu?
Well, they have to go out there and they have to beat Knights 2.0. And they are Knights 2.0 are coming off back-to-back wins. They have one game before, no pun intended, so they could very well be coming off 3 wins in a row, and that's tough to stop when you have a team that is 3-0 in the last 3 games. Man, they got some. They rolling off steam, and no pun intended. Didn't have they didn't have the season I expected them to, but they still have a chance there. I think that if I'm not mistaken, their quarterback is Alex Saplitsky.
Yeah.
Yes, Alex. He's still growing as a QB. Still having the little struggles and aches and pains.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's totally normal. I've talked to him a lot, and I've told him like being a QB is hard. It's gonna take multiple seasons. I'm not even a QB, but I know from talking to you, talking to friends of mine that play in QB, it's a very, very difficult position, and it's not gonna be overnight. Then you're gonna be successful. But that game is a big game for him. Can he make the playoffs? It's going to come down to that game against Knights 2.0. And Knights 2.0, I'm not going to lie, are looking very good. So it's going to be a tough matchup for them. Hopefully, Alex can limit the mistakes, use his legs because he's a QB that can run a lot and evade the plays. So, it's going to be a good game. Looking forward to it, and hopefully, no pun intended, can squeeze in the playoffs because I think they deserve it, even if the season hasn't fared out as they would want it to.
Yeah, well, it's going to be, like you said, you talked about their opponent, Knights 2.0.
Yep.
There's kind of a storyline here that we haven't really covered, and it's that Marc-André Reeves has been playing quarterback, plays mostly in the Terrebonne League, but he is a very good quarterback. And he's starting in Division D. He has played, one little season here or there. But this guy's like a Div C level quarterback playing in Div D. He wouldn't be killing it in Div C. But he wouldn't be out of place. Of course, since then, like you said, they've rattled off, 3 wins in a row?
2 wins in a row.
Two wins. 3 out of their last 4, right? And with 3 games played, if he plays those last 2, he becomes playoff eligible. He's changed the dynamics of Knights 2.0. Athletic guys like Shaggy St. Lo, Corey Williams sometimes subs in for that team, right? Like if Marc-André Reeves is throwing the ball to Corey Williams against, no pun intended, I'm not sure anyone on no pun intended has the athleticism to match that level of Corey Williams. But like I said, Shaggy St. Lo and Kevin Balco, John Masella as a snapper, very reliable snapper. So the team is, it's going to be a sneakier and tougher game for, no pun intended, had this game been in week 1 or week 2 of the season. So very tough challenge ahead for NPI and their playoff chances.
Definitely, I didn't notice that Marc-André Reeves was throwing for Knights 2.0. That makes it very, very interesting. Not only for, no pun intended, but also for the teams up there in the standings that are going to face Knights 2.0 in playoffs. I'm sure you, Mo, or me and Jerome are going to talk about it in the weeks coming up. That's a team that could very well sneak their way to a Final Four spot with Marc-André Reeves at QB. He's been amazing in the 3 games he played. 17 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 0 sacks. It's rare you see 0 sacks in Division D, in the lower division. QBs are often try to always extend the plays. He looks like a guy that chooses his reads, goes down the field, and makes the great, amazing decisions. Very, very impressed by how he plays. I do not know him personally, like as a player, but you've told me that he played in other leagues, so he's got that experience. That's a guy that is going to make some noise in FPF for sure.
Absolutely, and he combines it with a good running game as well. He's not afraid to take off and gain yards on the run, and he's leading the team in interceptions with 2. So he's Mr. Do-It-All for Knights 2.0. He's turned their season around, and hopefully for them, maybe they can make some noise like you're suggesting, maybe making a few upsets along the way.
There you go.
But speaking of upsets, maybe there's a vulnerable team out there, Manu, in Division D. Let's take a look at some of the teams sitting at 6-3 right now. Is there one team that may be most vulnerable? Maybe losing to a Knights 2.0 heading into the playoffs. So you got Love Me Sexy, SMP, Old Pats, Bandits. Your old team in Bandits,
Yeah.
and Black Shinobi. Is there a team that you feel a little hesitant going into the playoffs here?
I'd say I'm confident in Love Me Sexy, SNP, Bandits, Black Shinobi. It would be Old Pats and Notorious CIG that I'm just a little bit more worrisome. In part because I don't know them as much, but Old Pats we're gonna see what are they made of against they play Knights 2.0 in their next game, and so we're gonna see they're gonna have a good challenge. But Old Pats is having a good season at 6-3, plus minus of 35 plus. So yeah, I think Old Pats is winning some tight games, but man, that game against Knights 2.0 is gonna more answer to the question you're asking today. Are they more vulnerable? I think they are. So I would go with Old Pats for now, but it's a tough question because at 6-3 you're sitting in a good spot. I mean, it's a very good season. You've been dominating most of your games, so I'd go with them for now. But I'm curious, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at their schedule, right, they did lose to, and look at the teams we're talking about. They lost to Black Shinobi. They lost to Love Me Sexy. They did squeak out a 7-point win over Bandits, but I'm sure that was a hard-fought game.
Yeah.
So they're sitting at 1-2 with the teams that are relative to their caliber. I do think, like you said, the game against Knights 2.0 is going to be a test, to see what side of the coin they're going to go on in the playoffs. But while I do think they are perhaps a vulnerable team, I think I didn't include them at 6-3 necessarily, but you said Notorious CIG for having 6 wins. Without a quarterback now, right? Without a quarterback necessarily in George Spano, who's injured, still suited up. It didn't look as obviously as mobile and as comfortable in the pocket. So when you don't have a quarterback, I mean, the vulnerability is very high with any of these teams. But maybe Love Me Sexy. I say it again because of the quarterback position, right? Who's the quarterback on this team? Nick Ropini gave it a shot, going into the season, stuck with it till halfway through. And now he's like, you know what? I'm giving it up. I can't do it. It's not for me. I'll be the receiver on the team. They have a bit of a carousel at quarterback. Hey, Raph Morelli did pretty well this week for Love Me Sexy, just barely losing out to SNP. There was a tight win there. It was a tie game with 1 play remaining from about half field, and Kyle Fulkerson throws one up to a guy making waves in the lower divisions and really making a name for himself. Sam Anastopoulos of NSP comes away with where on the play before there was questionable pass interference. Maybe he says yes, defense says no, but came clutch on the very next play to win it for his team. So look, Love Me Sexy questions at quarterback always gives me some pause when you're going into with the playoffs with a question mark at quarterback.
No, I totally agree. When you don't really know who's going to be your QB for the playoffs, man, it gives question marks for that team, especially like to me when you go into playoffs, you have your defense set, you have your offense set. And most importantly, your quarterback is set. So yeah, it's a very good point you make. Those two teams that are not one team is more like the Love Me Sexy. They don't really know who's going to be their QB. But for Notorious CIG with George Spano being injured, as you said, that's tough. But I think Joey Nataro can take over the role, and he's playing well at quarterback also. But that takes him away as a receiver, and that's like in Division D, Joe Nataro is huge. So yeah, it's gonna be tight for these two teams. Maybe he's gonna need a little bit of magic going into the playoffs. But yeah, I think you made a great point there.
Yeah, and so speaking of quarterbacks in Division D, we're gonna have a little QB edition of Stardom, Situm, Cut'em, Manu, and I went with three interesting choices here at quarterback because they've all thrown 31 touchdown passes. So again, who are you starting? Who are you sitting? Who are you cutting between Noah Groper, Félix Gérin-Lajoie, and Philippe Gélina of Les Studs? Give me your ranking here.
Man, okay. So I will go with, I'm going to start Félix Gérin-Lajoie. Why is, I know Félix has experience in the playoffs. Fall Cup, he went pretty far. I'm not quite sure what he did in winter, but it's a QB that knows how to win. He puts his guys at the right place. He's a competitor, and he's gonna go out there and he's gonna play his heart out. So I'm gonna choose him. I'm gonna start him.
Okay.
It's tough because Philippe Gélina and Noah Groper. Noah is still developing as a QB, and I just saw a game. Philippe Gélina won in overtime with Les Studs. So I want to start him. I want to I don't want to cut him because he made a great play, and that's the kind of plays you will have to make in the playoffs. Because in the playoffs, it's like not always, but most of the time, it comes down to that final play or that final few plays. Even of the half, it could be final play of the half. You know, you got experience like teams scoring on the final play or you scoring on the final play of the half that could change a game. So I would go. I love you, Noah, but I have to cut you. So I'll go Philippe Gélina on the bench. And maybe it's recency bias because I just seen the game and I love the way how he played. I love how he gathered his team around him and they went out there. They won in overtime on a he took a chance, put it up for his guy, and the clip is on Instagram, so you guys can go see it. So that will be my list. I will go Félix Gérin-Lajoie, I'll start. Philippe Gélina on the bench, and Noah, I'm sorry, my man, I have to cut you. But it's nothing against him.
Yeah, that's it. You know what? I hate to be the guy, but I have to agree with you on all accounts there on your Stardom, Situm, Cut'em ranking. Right? I agree with you. Playoff experience is huge, and with his dual threat ability of Félix Gérin-Lajoie can really keep defenses on their toes, never really knowing if he's gonna run, gonna pass, gonna roll out and then pass. So he really keeps you got to be pretty deep on your defensive side of the ball, have a very good rusher, and have great defenders to be able to make plays and help your defense against Félix Gérin-Lajoie. Of course, the Jagger Bombers having a great season. I believe 7-2 right now. So I don't think you can question that too much. And Philippe Gélina, growing quarterback, right? He's from Division 6 of the Winter 2020 COVID season, and took his lump. He went up last spring in Division D with we played him with Idaho Utah, and that was his struggle season. It's always a struggle moving up to the next level of divisions, and now he's taking that next step. Like you said, cold ice through his veins when the plays matter the most. So you're seeing that from Philippe Gélina, and he's rallying the troops. I think you put it exactly very well. Everyone looks, especially in those lower divisions, they look to your quarterback for that confidence and not stressing. So two different things there, and he brings both of those things into that huddle. So definitely agree with your list. And then for Noah, I mean, he doesn't have necessarily the strongest team around him. So that's it can be a little difficult. For a developing quarterback like Noah, there's something there. There is potential, but this season not necessarily that one for him. He could be a stardom in the future in a different season, in a different situation. But yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with your selection there. And Manu, we'll move on to Div A and 5v5. What's going on in Div A?
Man, in Div, we know what's going on. There's there's one spot left for in the playoffs, and it's between KGP and Wyatt's Reject.
Both 1-8, baby.
Both 1-8, having a both disappointing season. But you guys, like, both of these teams, yes, they are only at 1-8, but they've been in the games. Like, it's not like they've been just wrecked all season. So that matchup is so exciting. You guys played against KGP. When I say you guys, I say Wyatt Rejects because Iggy plays on that team. But Wyatt Reject played against KGP last week, and I know Wyatt Rejects having some roster difficulties. Not everyone can show up. Some guys are injured. Some guys are away. You still managed to rally the team, and it came down to the last drive. So it's very, very, very close between KGP and Wyatt Reject. So the question I ask is, what are the keys to victory for both teams? So I think with KGP, they have to slow the game down. That's the number one, I think. Against you have amazing weapons around you. You know how to, like, you game manage the game very well. So if you want to score quick, you're going to score quick. If you want to take your time, you're going to take your time. So I think for Phil Cutler and his team is to keep you on the bench, as he did in the last game. You were on the bench a lot. You weren't on the field a lot, so you didn't have as many drives as you want. So it's tough. Like when the team gets an 8-minute drive, then you got to go out there. You gotta hurry up. You're not in your rhythm. It's tough when you don't have your receivers, your guys. But yeah, so for KGP, it's gonna be slow the game down, and for Wyatt Rejects, if like the guys can show up, this team is very, very good. This team has a lot of potential. When we played you guys, Spearhead played Wyatt Reject, you guys had a lead on us. You guys had the game in end. We picked you off. Yeah. Then the game kind of shifted in our favor. But when you guys are on, and I think that's going to be the key. Being all in the same mindset, going the same direction, and following you on offense, and on defense, gonna have to have that defensive leader out there. Don't know who he's gonna be with Jerome Ovington, who's out with an injury. So still a few questions there, but guys gonna have to take that serious because KGP is for sure gonna take it seriously. KGP is not a team that is used to be out of the playoffs. It's a team that's aiming for championships, and now they're in a win and in situation. I think they're going to be hungry for that win.
Yeah, absolutely. That's no question. I find it interesting. Both teams, obviously, same record. Both are -64 in the point differential. The difference being that Wyatt's Rejects has scored about 30 more points than them, but have allowed 30 more points. So my question to you is, if it comes down to the Wyatt's Rejects offense going up against the KGP defense, who do you have in that scenario? Because in the last game, that's kind of what the scenario was, and the KGP defense came out on top with a timely interception. Yeah,
KGP on defense, they move very well. We know the guys they have on there. Kwesi Gordon-Mall is an amazing defensive captain. He's a guy that's going to be all over the field, and they got a bunch of players that played together
within the system. Yeah,
exactly. They're in that system. They know where to be. But I'd have to give the slight edge to Wyatt's Rejects offense just because the athletes on the team are amazing. When your core shows up and everyone's there, maybe you have a few subs, man, that team is got some firepower. And so I'd have to go with Wyatt's Reject offense, but I wouldn't underestimate KGP's offense also. In that way, Phil Cutler can play, it's weird to say, a defensive game offensively by keeping you off the field and grinding those long drives, first down, 3 yards, second down, another 5 yards, then third down completion, first down again, and just grinding the field and tiring that defense. And then the guys on defense are like, when a QB takes a lot of time to grind out the field and then scores, that it's kind of gives you a little bit of it discourages the offense. Then you got to go back out there and like, okay, we got to score now. We're down by 6, we're down by 8. We got to go out. We got to like speed up the tempo. So I think that KGP offense is going to be key out there on there. Phil Cutler cannot get pick 6. That's so important that he plays a clean game.
Yep.
And like I said, it takes his time to keep you off the field, keep your offense off the field. So that's my take on that game.
Yeah, and then my quick point of view, I think maybe the first team that I don't know if it's the first team that makes a mistake, or how to phrase this exactly. I don't know if it's maybe it's the team that makes the mistake last or like really late in the game that is going to be punished, kind of like it happened last game. Yeah. But then my last question, just quick answer here from you is, if this game came down to converts, who are you giving the edge there?
Man, I think your convert plays are better and more well executed than KGP's. Just because when I played against KGP's, that's what I saw. But at the same time, I didn't see all their games. I don't know if they changed, but when I played against them, they didn't per se like completed at 2 points. And I know you have a great scheme for your 2 points, and I think you have the guys also to complete them. So yeah, I think I would go with you guys, because I think that Phil likes to go for one sometimes. He likes the 1 points, and you're a straight 2 point guy. Your offense is a straight 2 points. So a little bit like the Braves. So if you are able to convert on them and force a stop on these conversion in the side of KGP, I think you guys have a shot to win. But man, it's really a toss up that game.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be fun for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Manu, last thing in Division A. You don't normally see in Division A Defensive Player of the Year with a rusher in consideration here, but that's what we see. Of course, Mendel Joseph with 6 interceptions leading Division A right now. But if you take a look at the sacks, Hinsley Adam with 13 and a couple bat downs, and Naz Dillon with 12, teammate of yours with Spearhead.
Yes.
So interesting debate here. Is there a chance that, a lot of people say that, and I'm going to dispel a myth here. A lot of people say rushers don't win Defensive Player of the Year. That is an absolute myth. Have you seen how many awards Raf Morelli has? I don't think they were a receiver or quarterback of the year awards. He's won a couple of. I can vividly recall a couple of back-to-back, maybe even 3-time back-to-back defensive player of the year. I'm pretty sure Zach Alberts-Gill has won a couple as well. So I'm dispelling a myth there. Rushers do sometimes win defensive player of the year. Do you think that's the case here in Division A this year?
Man, it could very well, because Inslee Adams is having a very, very good season. His impact on the games and on his team success is very, 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 very huge. For example, when I take my game against Blessed, he wasn't there, and we won in the last few plays, but Inslee wasn't there, and I know that Inslee would have bothered Jeff a little bit, because he's very, very fast on the rush. His rushing style is so unorthodox, like you don't see it from anyone else, how he rushes. He gallops to the quarterback, and he's not going to miss a flag. He's not going to miss it. And Jeff sometimes likes to, extend the plays, and he was able to in that game, because it wasn't their regular rusher rushing. Sometimes you had Will Power, you had Dylan Daou rushing. It's like they're good players, but definitely not the caliber of rusher that Inslee is. So I think he has a shot. Got to give a shout out to my boy Naz, my teammate of mine, who's having a very, very impressive season with 12 sacks. When you have 10 plus sacks in the higher divs, man, it's impressive, because quarterback.
That's the point, yeah.
Quarterbacks don't get sacked often in those higher divs, because QBs know they know their system. They get rid of the ball quick. They can evade the rush very well, because they've been playing for so long. They know the tendencies of the rushers. They know that rushers go for the flag this type of way, so they got the hit move. So I really like Inslee Adams' chance to win Defensive Player of the Year, but still gotta look at Mendel Joseph. Mendel Joseph's season is amazing with 6 picks, 2 PDs. But you got also Mr. Joe Meyer still in there with 5 picks. We saw that one hand pick he did against Party Crashers. It's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah.
So it's I think I like the rushers, so I give it to them. And like 6 picks, 2 PDs, it isn't the biggest. Like it's still 6 picks in Division A. It's a lot. Yep. But it doesn't stand out like Guillaume Paquet did in winter with like 8 picks and 3 pick six. So yeah, I think you could give it to Inslee or Naz if he's able to get a few sacks.
Well, with the Naz, you know, we got to start calculating here on the defensive player defensive stats. Roughing the quarterback penalties.
No.
Because I think Naz Dillon's leading the league in roughing the passer, contacting the passer penalties. Because those automatic first down and 10 yards can be brutal. Man. But look, hey, if you're sometimes coming away with 12 sacks on the season, sometimes you live with the good and the bad of
exactly.
All right. That's definitely a lot to look forward to in Division A with a big game there, of course. But in the 5v5 world, Manu, Flagmois El Sac climbing up the ranks, looking very good lately. Probably the most improved team. Do they have a shot at competing against the Braves? This is the obvious question because Braves looking like the top team. But like I said, Flagmois Sac, probably the most improved team since day one here of the spring season.
Yeah, man. I just played Flagmois Sac in Brossard last Sunday, and I was very, very impressed on how they played. Alex Nadeau-Puis is now, like, he knows how to play 5v5 now. He's got his plays. He's got his system underway. It's very different from the 6v6, and they were very, very successful. One of the best teams in 6v6. So now the transition, I think they've kind of maybe not completed it, but very close to it. They're sharp. They got François Rochelot, I think one of the best receivers in the whole league, and definitely in 5v5, making his case for two-way player of the year for sure. Defensively, he's there, he's everywhere, and offensively, man, he's a burner. He's a not only a speedy guy, but a very good route runner. Very good hands. Man, he's the whole package, François. So, and the connection between him and Alex is amazing. When I played, Alex didn't have his brother there. I don't know if his brother is on the squad. Sam is on the squad, but he wasn't there. So that's another weapon you have on there. And all the other guys on the team are very solid. They got a lot of experience. And I very, very think they can give a shot to Braves. Last time they played, 50 to 46.
Yep.
46 points on the Braves defense, and
scared them a little bit. Yeah.
One score away from winning. Not only tying, winning the game. So I think that Flagmois Sac is a team that could very, very well be in the finals against Braves.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You said it rather quickly, but I caught it, and it was the subject of conversation this past week on the FPF sidelines was who's the best route runner in FPF. And after I think after covering him on defense, you said, oh my God, he ran a post at like but he cut at like 15 to 12 to 15 yards instead of the normal 7 to 9 yards. So it completely caught you off guard. You started taking the outside shade for the fade, and it turned it into a post, fat post, in fact, going all the way to the other side of the field. But a lot of the names that came up for best route runner was François Rochelot from a few players. So definitely agree with you there that he's a danger and a threat when playing against any team, and of course, against that Braves team. I'm just trying to see. I was there and don't remember, but I believe there had to have been an onside attempt from Flagmois. but I'm not seeing it on the play-by-play. But yeah, it was definitely a close game, and they gave them a run for their money because they played, I think, earlier in the season, and Braves annihilated them, 51-20. The last time these two teams played. This time 50-46. So Flagmois, another 26 on the board compared to their last time out. They definitely got the offense rolling because at the beginning of the season, things weren't necessarily clicking for them. But like you said, they adapted, and they adapted well. And that's a team that, of course, as we know in 66, very dangerous offensively. So now, so do they have a shot at competing with the Braves? I think so. And it's possible, like you said, that they make the final. I don't think anyone here would be shocked.
No, there you go. And you mentioned the onside kick, and Flagmois is a team that if they get a penalty on the convert, they're going onside kick right away. They did that. They did this against us, and I think it's a good move. They're not afraid. They're aggressive. Man, I would have liked to see that game, Braves versus Flagmois in Complexe Marie-Victorin last Monday, because it must have been a very, very good game between two amazing teams and veteran teams, you can say also.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. Although, because I was scorekeeping it, you'd think the veteran teams wouldn't make mistakes. The Braves almost threw that game away. Late in the game with the pro clock, they dropped back Will Trottier, and he maybe misunderstood the play as run around and just run, whereas Jean Maher said run the ball when I pass it to you. He maybe Will Trottier thought run backwards and waste clock. Maher wanted him to run forward and make sure that the clock kept running because they were in the pro clock. He almost he goes back 20 yards and throws a pass that almost gets picked off. Mike Piassin has to play defense. So it was all to say, very entertaining game on Monday night. So maybe we do see these two teams in the final. Would be very entertaining there as well. So Manu, last week of the season, as we said, first season of 5v5. What were our thoughts on the season?
I think it was a great addition to Flag Plus. Having the 5v5, the international format of Flag being played in our great league is very fun. It gives players that play higher division a chance also to play in two teams, because some quarterbacks, some players are so high rated that they can only fit in those Div A rosters. If they want to play Div B, the whole team around has to be like arranged for them to fit. So I think it's really cool for that. I think that from talking to a bunch of players, I'd say it's like 80-20 for people that like, 80% people that like, 20% that are not really fond of it, because maybe they're used to the 6v6 format. It's also, you have one player more, so if you have your team of like 8 guys, that's one less player on the bench. Guys won't like to play. It's that was maybe the thing that's a little bit more difficult. If I think about my season with Diamond Bougie, is sometimes guys have to sit out and take drives off on offense or on defense, because you also have your quarterback that always plays offense, so you have only 4 spots as receiver, and you know how it is with the sub system, and guys want to play both ways. So maybe that's a thing that's a little bit like
tricky.
Tricky, but man, I think it was a successful season. I had a lot of fun. My teammates had a lot of fun. Guys that I played against always had a lot of fun. The refs adjusted very well to the new format. At the start, it was a little bit like everybody was not too sure, but now, man, the games are running smoothly. And so I think it was a very, very, very successful season. You didn't play in 5v5 this year. I think you subbed maybe a game or two. Yeah. What do you think about the format? What do you think about the division, the 5v5 division?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna see it. It's quite similar to Division A, of course. The talent level was there. Yeah, it's I'm not going to say completely different game, but that what I think the biggest thing that changes, I'm not even going to say play calling, although play calling is quite different. The biggest difference is the end and game management at the end. It's not 5 plays untimed. It's control the clock, stay inbounds or out of bounds if you want to keep the clock rolling or if you want it to stop. The 2-minute pro clock, you can have like 3-4 touchdowns, 2 on each side, if teams are capable of scoring quickly. I kind of like it more, though. I actually kind of like the strategy and the management more because it's not 10 yards for a first down. You can only kill so much time. You can only kill 8 plays at a maximum. So I find that, you're up 2 possessions with like 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. You're not out of that game. If you score, or even if the other team scores and now you're down 2 possessions and you enter the pro clock and you score quick and you get to stop and use your timeouts wisely, you can get the ball back with like a minute 12, and that's a lot of time. If you have one timeout time and going out of bounds and getting the clock, stopping the clock when you get a first down, you can absolutely come back down 2 possessions with when you're down 2 possessions with like 2.5 minutes left. So I really like the different strategy, and then things that I've heard is that teams like getting the extra reps, specifically the Braves, right? There's not many places to play the 5v5 format, and like I was saying at the top of the show, that the women's is more popular with the 5v5 because that's kind of what they've been playing since the beginning. Not necessarily the beginning with FPF, but with the beginning of, like you said, from the ground roots up. So now flipping back to the men's, is that they're getting the reps. They're getting extra reps that prepare them just a little more for these tournaments out, whether it's in the U.S. or for Canadian national champions. It's those things. It's those little things. Extending the ball, going out of bounds with the pro clock, things that you don't normally think. Now you're more accustomed to and quicker to adapt. So for all those things, I really enjoyed it, and I just think it's gonna. You saw 17 sign up. I'm gonna say double 14. Maybe have now
nice.
Competitive and a middle division. Maybe we'll see. But I think a success for year 1 with 5v5.
Yeah, it's cool because you talked about the reaching for the ball, going out of bounds. Those are things that resemble a little bit more to actual football, like real football. That's how it goes. There's no 5 play tackle football. There's no 5 plays. You got to go out of bounds when it's the 2 minute, like under 2 minutes. The guys they're gunning for the sidelines or they're reaching for the ball. So I think it's very fun that they brought it in FPF, and looking forward to many more seasons in 5v5.
Yeah, exactly. All right, back to 6-on-6 and Division B, Manu.
Yes.
One stop. They're rolling this season, now sitting atop of Division B. It was a little highlight and promo reel for them that came out on Friday, July 12th. What are some of the things that make this team roll? Are they better on offense than they are on defense? Is it the outstanding quarterback play? What do you think is maybe we can rank the things that make them the most successful?
Man, if I'd go number 1, you got to go with their quarterback, Michael Caparelli, playing.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
He's playing so well, and I'm playing with him in Division C, so I get to see the both sides playing against him and playing with him. He's a quarterback that goes through his reads so well. Like, I've rarely seen a flag QB go from one side to the other and be so patient and make not a lot of mistakes, and being very, very calm also as a QB. Yeah. That's the guy you want to play with because he's super chill, he's competitive, but man, he wants to have fun, and he rallies the guys around him very, very well, keeps everybody calm in the huddle. Also, I think the players that they've brought in the team it's a very, very impressive squad. If you look at it, you have Janai Lewis, who's an amazing player on both sides of the ball. Defensively, offensively, it's an amazing player. Got AJ Zapatelli, also a guy that we know a lot throughout the years in FPF. A guy that started in the lowest of the lowest divs and now is making a name in Division B. Playing super well. Charles Cossette also is an amazing player, and cannot forget about Ryan McNally on the defensive side, a genius on defense. And they added a very good player in Craig Ye. We played against him and very, very, very surprised us. You can see if you guys want to go check on the Instagram page, you see a couple of his moves, a couple of his touchdowns. This guy dominated in our game. And it's a very, very good addition. And on defense, you got guys like Luca Lechese at rusher, Nicolas Knez, who also is a very good defensive player. So I think that team is very well built.
Yeah.
And it's a scary team. I think like when we faced them, I was very, very surprised. I didn't expect it, and that was without Janai Lewis and Charles Cossette. So let's see what they can do in the coming weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to agree with you that number one, Mike Caparelli. I'm going to go number two, though. Their defense. The defense is really, really well run, especially that game, Kiss My In-Laws versus One Stop, changed dramatically. The second Ryan McNally stepped onto the field was about 7 to 8 minutes late. It went from like, well, they also had some subs, so it really did feel like a Division C defense to like a Division B plus defense. So, so absolutely game changers. And how about this take? So that would put number three, the offense, which is very good. But how about this take, Manu? I think this team may have the best two-way players, the most number, and the best two-way. Maybe not the best, but like what I'm trying to say is they have the like great two-way players around the board, right? You think Janai Lewis both ways, AJ Zapatelli more offensive, but is not a liability on defense, like whatsoever. Charles Cossette, same thing, similar to that Janai, maybe a bit more accustomed to the tackle football, but you're seeing that from Ryan McNally adjust to the flag, and he's adjusted beautifully, and he's a threat both ways. So is Craig Ye. He was on Sanders, and I'm not saying he locked Sanders down, absolutely not. But he did a very decent job covering a beast of a man in Sanders. So and then like you said, Luca Lechese, great rush. He in my opinion won them that game with two critical sacks on third and fourth down. I don't want to say single-handedly, but he made huge impacts in that game. And then to say that if your worst defender is Nick Knez, like that's a good thing. Like that if your worst defender is Nick Knez. So great squad all around, and they're sitting at number one for a reason in Division B, and we listed why.
Yep.
All right. What did you want to talk about here with Heavenly Suns and Silent Ticklers?
So Heavenly Suns won a big game against Silent Ticklers last Sunday. But Silent Ticklers are without their two main guys. When we think about Silent Ticklers, you have Dan Mancini and Adam Rosen, who weren't playing on those games. I think Mancini's on vacation. He's coming back from an injury. I don't know what's going on with Adam Rosen. I think he was injured a few weeks ago. I'm not quite sure, but they weren't there. And that's two huge pieces in their team. Do you think that Silent Ticklers are in trouble without these two guys? Do you think that guys like Alexis Ferrand, Tanner Burrell can like fill in, like you cannot like replace those guys, but can they help Jordan Panetta to like manage the offense without his two main weapons?
Yeah, look, I think you kind of already described it there. They're serviceable players, right? And I wouldn't even say serviceable. Like that's Alexis Ferrand's a great, he plays Division A snapper. He's been doing wonderful with Steve in the Blessed offense, and he's a good piece. Noah Groper, great piece. Marty Friedman, very good piece. But they're just not Dan Mancini and Adam Rosen. When you have that connection with Jordan Panetta, it's not. They're more than the sum of their parts, right? Like they're not 2 + 2 + 2 = 6. With them, it's 2 + 2 + 2 = 10 because of that connection, because of the insane speed that both Mancini, Rosen, and the cannon of an arm that Panetta has. Like you're seeing it a few times now where Groper and Marty Friedman, Panetta's overthrowing them as fast as they are. He's just used to already putting it to a certain spot, like in the middle or back of the end zone, that where Mancini and Rosen can get to the ball. But like you're asking a lot from even crazy speedy players like Groper and Man, or like they're like a 7 comeback is coming with so much heat that it's like coming off their chest, right? So like. The adaptation hasn't necessarily been there. Look, a 4-5 season in Division B, not a bad season, but when this team is their full arsenal, and now everyone slides into their respective slots. Like if you had Marty Friedman and Noah Groper as your 4 and 5 on offense, now you're rolling. Now you look like a contender in Division B. So I'm worried about them. If you're painting them as a Division B contender, I would be worried. To say that they can win a playoff game and maybe even win a 2 playoffs games, it's possible. I wouldn't be surprised if they did it. It would be a 1 point, 2 point kind of convert who had the better convert game that day. But yeah, if you said, are you worried that they're a contender? Yes, I would be worried.
Definitely, and I gotta mention, because I've talked about the guys that aren't there, but let's talk about the guys that are there for Silent Ticklers. You talk about Marty Friedman, very good addition. Brandon Vickers, also a very good player. But two guys that aren't mentioned a lot, you got Jack Antaki and Vincent Dagenet. I remember our game against them. Vincent Dagenet was making a lot of plays over the middle as a big body that can make some big catches. And also you got Andrew Blevings at snapper.
He's a rock. He's insane.
That guy, when Panetta needs a completion, he's gonna look to him because he's gonna make the play. He's gonna box you out. He's gonna gain that first down. So I think they're in a bit of trouble for as far as contender, but they still got guys like I just named Marty, Brendan, Jack, and Vincent that could very, very well bring that team and win those tough playoff games. They faced the Heavenly Suns teams. Heavenly Suns teams who is very, very, very having a very good rest of the season. James Drysdale was there. Anthony Drysdale is having an amazing season, and Ben, when he's got these guys around, he's comfortable. He just slings it and. They won a big game against Silent Ticklers. So, I'm a little bit worried, but at the same time, I think that if Panetta is able to put all his guys in the right place, they can make damage in the playoffs.
Absolutely agree there. We were gonna move to Div C, but just quickly, since you touched on it with Heavenly Suns and some of those awards that may be handed out. At the end of the season, we'll start with Ben McMahon real quick. Look, it looks like it's either going to go to Jordan Panetta or myself in Division B, just by nature of the games played and the offensive numbers that are going to be put up. But if you actually look at it right now, this is the time to look at it. Who would you give quarterback of the year to? Because right now Ben McMahon, it says 10 games played, but he actually played 8. So, because there were 2 forfeits. So, I mean, to me, he has less interceptions than myself, same as Panetta, and he has 1 more touchdown than myself and 4 more passing TDs, and leads the league in yards. He would be, if the season ended today and the games played were, I guess, equal or like everyone, played 10 games or whatnot, he would win, right?
Yeah, definitely, because when we look at Panetta, is maybe his completion percentage at a little 10% lower than 10 or 13% lower than you guys, you and Ben. So yeah, it's tough to go with Jordan. So it's gonna be between you and Ben. But it's a very good point that Ben played 2 less games as they were forfeits. Those games. So yeah, I like where Ben is going, and I like how he played this season. 43 TDs, 6 interceptions, like you said. Maybe a little bit high in sacks, but that's something you can expect from Ben because he likes to roll around. Maybe he had a game against Ethan Adrian who got a couple sacks against him. But yeah, very proud of Ben. Is playing very well. So yeah, you got 2 games left though, so maybe you can get a few more TDs, and we know that the awards are based on stats. So, but very good season regardless for Ben.
Yeah, and then quickly, you said it, but yeah, Anthony Drysdale looks like he's going to be run away for receiver of the year unless something unexpected happens. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, little shout out to Anthony Drysdale. 700 yards, 15 TDs, when 45 receptions on 67 targets. When he's known mostly as a defensive guy, is kind of the coming out party for Anthony Drysdale with his son.
Definitely.
All right, Division C, Manu.
Yes.
You were interested in Killer Rays.
Yes, I am. It's Killer Rays are a team that competed in Division 4, went to the finals, I think, in Division D or E. I'm not quite sure, but
both.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Both, yeah.
That's a team that is really good, and I'm a little bit surprised that they are fighting for a playoff spot right now. My question to you is: do you think they can squeeze in the playoffs with their 2 games left?
I'm gonna just say yes, because I think they can beat Team Ethnic this coming Sunday, and then they're playing a team below them in the standings in Nighthawks. So look, somewhere in their season they got a tie. Wiped off the page there. So look, even if they get one win, whether it's Nighthawks or Team Ethnic. Let's just say it's Nighthawks. They will be at 5 points, and it's possible that Team Ethnic and Killer Rays can both make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily win and in for Team Ethnic or Killer Rays. Really, the team that they gotta jump is Trap Stars here.
Yes.
And for Trap Stars, they have 1 game remaining left against Win Diesel, sitting very high in the atop the Division C. An impressive first season for Win Diesel. So you know what? Whereas Trap Stars is the more experienced team, Win Diesel has been putting teams in fumes and have been roller coastering their way through this season. So the way things are going and trending, I'd have to say that in my opinion, Killer Rays get both victories. I'd say that Trap Stars lose, and at that point, it would depend what Team Ethnic does in their other game, which is against Friends with Danny, and I don't see them beating them either. So it might come down to a tiebreaker. Trap Stars, Team Ethnic, and guess what, Manu? Trap Stars forfeited against Team Ethnic.
Oh no!
So if ever it comes down to a tiebreaker, Team Ethnic has it over Trap Stars right now.
Oh man, please guys, don't forfeit your games. That's a lesson for you all. But
it might cost you a playoff spot.
Exactly. Yeah. That game, Win Diesel versus Trap Stars, is very, very interesting because that's 2 teams that know each other. I think Will Sabag played with Trap Stars, and so that's like a little bit of I won't say a rivalry, but it's maybe a new rivalry because Will had to choose between. Yeah, exactly.
Friendly rivalry. Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, that game is big, and it's unfortunate that Trap Stars had to forfeit that game on June 16th. It may come out and bite them in the behind if they want to squeeze in the playoffs. But yeah, I think I agree with you. For Killer Rays, they got two winnable games, very winnable games, and they can make their way into the playoffs, and they're gonna have a tough matchups to start the playoffs. But it's a team that can do it. They can win. It's just gonna depend on, are they like in the right mindset? Are they focused? Because they don't seem focused this season. From what I see from their record, only one game won so far, one tie. Let's see what those two games have in store for them, and hopefully I wish them that they can make it, because that's a team that I like a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And then Manu, is there a team in Division C? Of course, you play in Division C with Big Fat Bats. Is there a team that has disappointed you this season? Maybe pick one team that disappointed you and one team that surprised you by their success.
Yeah, so I think I talked a little bit with Jerome about that on last show. I think Bleu Dry is a team that disappointed me. So that would be the team that I'm disappointed. Killer Rays also. We just talked about them. So that would be my two teams that I'm a little bit disappointed. Bleu Dry, the reason is they got so much talent on that team. Their quarterback is very, very good. They got good receivers. Their defense, that's where they'll struggle a little bit, allowing 325 points in those 9 games. It's a lot. But man, that's a team. If you look back in last year in Division D, they were in the top. It was one of Mo's favorite teams back then. But now they're like in the bottom of the standing. They're gonna make the playoffs, but not in a high seeding. So I'd say that Bleu Dry and Killer Rays are the two teams that disappointed me. And a team that I'm pleasantly surprised that are there, that I didn't expect at all to be in that spot, is Trinity.
Okay, yeah.
I remember seeing Trinity play earlier in the year. I think it was against Win Diesel, and it was a tight game. So I was like, okay, it's like they're there. They're playing against like Trinity. When you look at them, it's not like the all star like young players. It's more older guys. I say older, but maybe 30s and up, against like basically teenagers, guys that are playing CJEP and university. And man, they're able to win some big games against, for example, Renard Vif. They won against Commission. They lost a close one to Never Overtime, but they won against Rico Riders. They gave a good fight to Idaho Utipimps also. I was at that game. I saw that game, and they gave a good sweat to Brady and his guys. So I'm really impressed by Trinity, and they're sitting at 5-5, and they had a plus minus of 22 plus. So man, it's very, very good. Louis Bégin is having an amazing season also. We know what he can do. He's a very, very good player, and I think he's leading that team to a good playoff run. I see them going a few rounds in the playoffs. Maybe surprise some people, but I was surprised for their about their success. What do you think?
Yeah. For I'll stick on the surprise.
Yeah.
And I'll go with the new teams that came into Division C, right? Petskada to be the number 1 seed at 8-1 right now, beating Jagerbomb. I knew Petskada were good, but I thought a good season for them could have been 5-5, 4-6, maybe 6-4, but to be 8-1, sitting at the number 1 seed right now, and then win Diesel 7-2. Although I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, like they didn't have the hardest. You still got to win your games, and you still got to start to learn and see different scenarios. And for them, I thought they would be 4-6, 5-5, but 7-2 didn't necessarily. I wouldn't have necessarily predicted that. So the newer teams coming up into Division C. And then teams that disappointed me. I mean, with the record of 5-3-1, I'd have to say West Island Boys.
Yeah.
But we know the situation and the context with Zach, Stacy, not going to necessarily be there for the playoffs, or so they're handing the reins over to Nick DeMalo. So I kind of understand it, but just in general, that's West Island Boys are usually that 7-3, 8-2, could be 9-1 team, and maybe even, I don't know how you feel about backfield penetration. Coming off a Div 4 championship.
True.
I mean, the roster is lighter than what they had in Division 4, but 6-4 backfield penetration, nah, I wouldn't. I would have said that's a team that'll be, it's only 1 win and 1 loss less, but like I would have thought at least 7-3, if not 8-2, 9-1. So, although they're not, I wouldn't necessarily say they're having bad seasons. Just a little disappointing, but I also, trust me, I'm the first to know about guys not showing up because summer and injuries and vacations and weddings and this and that. I get it. They've had some roster retooling on the fly as well. So, but yeah, still, I wouldn't have said 6-4. If you told me they're 6-4 at the end of the season, I would have said no, they'll do better than that.
It's a very good take. You just named like 2 championship teams from the past 2 seasons. So West Island Boys in fall and backfield penetration in winter. So yeah, I totally agree that it's a bit disappointing for these 2 teams that aren't in like the top, and very surprising that Fitzcarrot is number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to go down to Division E, Manu.
Yes.
As we near the end. We're not exactly at the end covering the last division here on Calling the Audible. I'm Iggy Magnets. This is Manu Alaroy giving you all the lowdown here for the last week of the regular season in the spring 2024. So Division E, Manu. When we look at it right now, you look at the middle of the pack. I want to know which 5-win team has the best shot at a Cinderella run in Division E. You got Locked and Loaded at 5-3, Texas Wales 5-4, Trailer Park Boys at 5-4, Ayers, Queens also sitting at 5-4. Who can make a deep run in the playoffs here, in your opinion?
I like what Texas Wales got going on right now, but I think that Queens is going to have the deeper playoff run. And the reason why is their plus-minus differential. They're at 103 plus in the plus-minus differential. Very impressive. Even if they are only at like 5 wins, and that team is making waves. And I wouldn't want to face them in a first round or second round. It's a team that I don't know a lot. I would like to know more about them, but from what I look through their stats and how they won their games, I think that Queens is the team that could have a Cinderella run, as you said, in the playoffs and beat those higher seed teams that are looking pretty scary. If you look at the Division E standings, you got them powerhouse in the top. I think Queens can give them a run for their money.
Yeah, absolutely. They midway, more or less, or early on in the season, made a key switch at quarterback. Félix Derry-Bernard. In fact, a team I played last night, because I do play with Texas Wales here and there.
Oh.
Yeah. And they were 6 guys, and one of their players got injured. Luckily, I'm the type of guy, Manu, as you know, that sticks around after my games. I was literally taking my socks off, putting my sandals on to go, and I see one of their guys got injured. They asked me, "Oh, can you come into the game?" Luckily, I'm on the roster as well, so I can come in and. So I was able to be on the field against Queens. And what I had seen from the sidelines, I saw once again stepping on the field. As you know, stepping on the field is one thing, and seeing the game from the sidelines is another. And Félix Deribanal is probably is going to be the most athletic player out there on the field. This guy definitely can play Division D. I'd even say, just as a general athlete, could probably play Division C. So they're benefiting from a early rating, low rating from him. Look, 11 TDs, 9 interceptions, not a great ratio, but his team doesn't have necessarily the best hands. Although once they do have the ball in their hands, guys like Matthias Kowski, and who's the other guy I'm thinking of? Where is he? Come on. I need a number. Look, maybe I'm blanking on the name, but they have guys that when they get the ball in their hands, they're dangerous. They're shifty. They make guys miss. And as you know, Manu, we played way back when we played Division E2. Guys miss on defense. Flags. Deflagging is not a natural thing that you just know how to do right away.
No.
You see a lot better tackling, of course, as you move up in the divisions. But when you go back down in Division E, the tackling isn't as solid. It's not as confident and reliable in your tackles. So you see a lot of runs, especially from Félix Deribanal. He's a menace when it comes to rushing. Just look at the stats: 25 attempts, 350 yards. He's averaging 14 yards a carry, 6 rushing touchdowns. So he's a threat on the ground and with his arm. He has a cannon of an arm, something that you don't normally see in Division E. So all things to say, this is a team, I think you nailed it on the head, Manu, that teams above need to watch out. This is a team that can go on that Cinderella run.
Watch out for their next matchup against Western, the 9-0 team. That's a big one. Western was riding high with Cameron Wilson, their quarterback, throwing 56 touchdowns in 9 games. So it's pretty impressive. Just got to shout him out real quick. That's a big game for Queens. Are they able to compete against the top of the division?
So to quickly like wrap up the Queens segment here. Here's the thing. Queens will have Félix Deribanal that can match up one of the guys on Western, and they'll have an equivalent. The thing is, Western has 3 or 4 guys like Félix Deribanal on the roster. So it's going to be much more difficult. As good as the Queens defense is, it's not amazing. It's not bad. It's okay. Félix Deribanal, playing the safety position, is able to go from sideline to sideline and make a play on the ball. He may get an interception, but the thing is, Western, which I got to shout it out because I saw it live on Wednesday night in Laval, a one-handed reverse sideline pick with 2 feet narrowly touching the sideline. Matthew Campbell coming with an absolute ridiculous OBJ-like interception. And they have 2 or 3 guys like that on the roster. So it might be a little too much for Queens to handle, but you got to play the games like that. On paper, sure, Western's the favorite, but 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, who knows? Maybe Queens can come away with the upset and maybe start their Cinderella run a little early here. Yeah.
Well said, Iggy. Well said.
So the other thing, we looked at Defensive Player of the Year in some other divisions. And in fact, we're going to continue on this same vein here with talking Matthew Campbell and Félix Deribanal. But the question really comes more from the angle of, again, this idea of rusher versus DBs. I'm telling you, I'm dispelling a myth here. Rushers can win Defensive Player of the Year. You have Jeremy Steinberg, 25 sacks. This is one. He's not the number 1 all-time sack leader. I believe that goes to Zach Alberts-Gill with 29, but he's 4 shy of that. He's obviously done his season, but does he have a shot versus Matthew Campbell, Félix Deribanal, Laurent Bonchamp, who had 11 and 13 interceptions on the season?
Yeah, man, it's very like both stats are very impressive. Like having 13 interceptions, 11 interception, and 25 sacks. You rarely see it. Like do we take into consideration that in the lower division there may be a higher amount like of sacks and interception? Let's put that out of the window and just take it out how it is. I think the 25 sacks are incredible. I have to give it to Jeremy Steinberg to win Defensive Player of the Year. Just having 25 sacks, that means you're impacting every game you're playing on. Like 2-3 sacks per game, man, it completely wrecks a drive for opposing offenses. So I'd have to give to Jeremy Steinbeck just because the sheer number of sacks, and I'm sure like I would have to go like game by game, but the impact of those sacks must have been huge, and gave his team Toon Squad 8-2 record.
Yep.
Very good team. Only allowed 126 points in 10 games. That's amazing.
A lot would have to go the way of Jeremy Steinberg for those team stats. Going, the 20, like you said, impacting a lot of plays. Don't forget, sacks on converts don't count. So imagine how many, maybe, he wrecked another 5 to 7 convert plays as well. Keeping points off the board from opposing offenses. And then the other thing that you mentioned, Manu, I really like the analysis there. There are worse. This is not a controversial statement. The throwers in Division E are not good. Let me rephrase that. They're not as good. They're not as good as what you see in Division A, B, and C. Right? Balls, deep balls are fluttering balls that are more easily intercepted than in the higher divisions. 1, so you'll see a higher volume of interceptions normally from DBs. 2, because quarterbacks aren't as good throwers of the football, what do you normally see them do? You see a lot of running quarterbacks. I see a lot of athletes. So I think these 2 points actually, like you said, give more merit and put Jeremy Steinberg's 25 sacks on an even higher level. So just a few points that Jeremy Steinberg's sacks may actually get him the Defensive Player of the Year. But again, the other thing is Felix Derry-Bernard. Okay, 11 interceptions, but 5 of them went for pick sixes. So almost half of that took it back to the house. So it's one thing is picking it off, and then another thing is outrunning the entire team, which I've seen him do. He's literally picked it off on his own 10-yard line and has run around entire teams, bringing it back to the house for 6. So definitely an interesting battle for Defensive Player of the Year in Division E. Manu,
yes.
Last coverage here of calling the audible. We're gonna wrap it up with the co-ed divisions exactly. What did you have in mind here with co-ed 1 as we'll start the co-ed with co-ed 1?
Well, when I looked at the standings in co-ed 1, you see that Les Porcinais are sitting out of the playoffs, but got one game in hand. Vultures have ended their season is over. They won against Les Porcinais last Wednesday in Laval. So now Les Porcinais are still alive, because if you look at the points against, Vultures have allowed a lot of points. Our team defensively it wasn't the greatest season, so we're kind of in a tough situation. Like Porcinais has to lose, because I don't think they will allow 80 some points. I think we're like a lot of points behind in points against. So Les Porcinais have one game, and basically after win that game and allow less points than 70 points. So it's just about the win. So my question is, what will it take for Porcinais to win against Kiss My End Zone, your team? Kiss My End Zone isn't the Kiss My End Zone we're used to, hear about. It's not the top seed Kiss My End Zone, but still an amazing team with amazing players, amazing female and male players on that team. A great group of players. So my question is like, I want to talk about you. Like, what are the keys for Porcinet to have a shot at making the playoffs, like to win against Kiss My End Zone?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna throw a wrench here at you, Manu. Suiting up at quarterback for Les Porcinets, number 34, William Power. Suiting up for Les Porcinets, throwing to Marvin Steinberg. So Les Porcinets going all out. Of course, Kiss My End Zone having to release William Power in order to do that. Of course, Kiss My End Zone could have easily said no thanks, but no thanks. But look, they're struggling. Porcinet, like some other teams, have struggled to put out a consistent roster. So I'd rather, I obviously rather play the game than not play the game. So. And really let the chips fall where they may for this game there. So look, it's that changes a lot of the discussion here, right? When you do have like the female talent on both sides, I think is kind of equal, maybe a slight advantage to Kiss My End Zone. And then male wise, now that you have Willpower, Marvin Steinberg, that height advantage that Kiss My End Zone normally has with Isaiah Lard, Sanders Armand is now limited. It's not necessarily completely flushed out the window, but it's limited, right? A jump ball is now maybe it's 50-50 when it shouldn't be, when you think about throwing a jump ball to Sanders Armand over, let's say, Phil Roberts of Vultures or Mike Piercin, right? It's not 50-50 at that point, whether it's Isaiah Lard or Sanders Armand. Yeah. So the defensive side of the ball becomes a little more interesting for Les Porcinets. Are they going to maybe come up with a turnover on downs or a turnover? Maybe, perhaps. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be first one to get a stop, and even then, I've played a lot in this co-ed division, and I've never felt less safe with a 2-possession lead in all my time in FPF. The games against Vultures, both of them, we were up 2 possessions, I think, in both games, or at least at one point in both games. And one of them you had a chance to win from midfield, and the other one you won on a Hail Mary. I'm like, this how is this happening? Like I'm doing everything I possibly can do in my power to make sure that like I give the greatest odds of winning. And no, I still have a chance of losing the game or outright losing the game. So look, first one to make a mistake on offense or the defense that can best capitalize, and then with Willpower at quarterback, now it becomes a convert game. Who's the better 2-point convert? So conversion team. So I don't know. Had you said Chris Vero with a slightly injured leg, throwing didn't look his best this past Wednesday. Of course, limited. He still gave them a chance to win. I don't know. Now it really, really changes. It's really we've said it all year. The co-ed division, co-ed 1, any team can be any team on any given night. There are some more favorable matchups for some teams over others, but it's honestly a coin flip. Like,
definitely.
I don't know.
Thank you for the little wrench you threw at me with Willpower. Coming in to sub at quarterback, that changes a lot, and it makes this game really a much more close game on paper. Because, like you said, we don't know what's going on with Chris Vero. If he was 100% healthy, I would say, okay, I would have a lot more confidence on that team. But now with Willpower, as a quarterback that plays, that had some reps in Division A, Division B, and doing very well in Division C. So it's well matched up, and he has Marvin Steinberg on a team, teammate of his, longtime teammate of his. But yeah, I think Porcinet, like with the likes of Béatrice Bouchard, playing very well for them. That I think that she's the player who has been more present.
Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
I don't know the status or the nature of the injury, but Pastinet did play 2 games on Wednesday night in Laval. Played in the first one, was limping out there, and then just not even running routes. Went to the hospital. So again, we don't know. You know, say hospital, and it's like, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah.
We don't know the nature of the injury, but you know, she is one of those years that unfortunately, again, the roster massive.
Yeah.
It fell victim to injury, and that's going to be a big loss for sure.
Yeah, man, that it's tough. And you look at their roster; they got a lot of players on there. 18 players on the squad. Yeah, that's the struggles of the spring season, if you want. But yeah, it's gonna take a full effort, and for Will, it's gonna be tough because yes, he has thrown to Marvin, but all the others, like it's maybe his first time throwing to them. So that's always a challenge for both the receivers and the quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think you guys have it. I wish you guys had it, but because for me, for my team, for Vultures, it would mean that if Porcinet loses, we're still in. If they win, unfortunately, it's going to be an end to our season. But
that's not. I don't know about that, Manu.
You're not sure?
If Porcinet beat Kiss My End Zone and Kiss My End Zone lose to Easy Fun, oh no, we all enter a three. We all enter a 3-way tie at 3-7. Okay, and then you've given up the most points against, unless Kiss My End Zone averages 40 points against, which is possible right now. Hold on, let's do the math here. 310 points against in 8 games, 38.75. They're averaging 39 points against. If Easy Fun and Postinet can each put up 40, no, they would have to put up 46. There's another chance where Vultures could still make it, even though the Postinet beat or if Postinet beat Kiss My End Zone. So look, it's not completely out of there, but yes, I think you're hoping for a Kiss My End Zone win to ease your the last week before the playoffs.
Definitely.
I think you had a hypothetical question here, and maybe sparked between the last game of the IG team against Pass Whoopin. What's your hypothetical here, Manu?
My question is, do you think that the Pass Whoopin defense would be able to stop that high-powered offense from IG team? That's my question, because I think that the offense of Pass Whoopin is running very well. Chris Ribeck got his system. I think they can give a good shot to IG team, the IG team defense. But man, it's the offense of IG team was very, very tough to stop, and I wonder if the defense of Pass Whoopin can stop them.
So, and for the viewers, the hypothetical portion of this was a hypothetical playoff matchup.
Yeah, exactly.
Which may even be the finals. I'll answer your question, but before I do, I think you're asking the wrong question. But it doesn't mean it's a bad one. But no, I do think Pass Whoopin can, I don't know about stop. I wouldn't say limit them to 19 or 20 points. But they can get a stop. There were 6 touchdowns from the IG team in their last game on 8 possessions. Now, one of them may have been a end of first half with like one or 2 plays, which was the case. Chris Rive scored with leaving them 1 play, which was incomplete. So that was 1 drive, which is not really a drive. So otherwise they scored on 6 of 7 possessions. So Pass Whoopin did get a stop on IG team. I don't know. Limiting IG team to 38 points. I mean, I say limiting. It's not really limiting, but if you let them score 38, you got to score 39. And like you're saying, the thing is, Pass Whoopin can. So you said that their offense has been rolling, and it has, but not against the IG team. That's the thing, is I think the right question is, can Pass Whoopin's offense, as good as it's been rolling, can it work against a crazy athletic IG team defense? Because the last game, as much as I said, I don't think pass whipping can limit the IG team defense to 19 points. That's exactly what the IG team did to Chris Rivet's pass whipping offense. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, not 156 yards, completing half of his passes. That's not a normal, typical performance from Chris Rivet, especially this season, especially coming off a Co-Ed 2 championship. So I think pass whipping can get a stop. They've proven it. The thing is, Chris Rivet might have to go perfect in that game, and that's tough to do against this IG team defense. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no, I agree. You kind of switched up my question, but I think to be fair, it's a better question that you ask. IG team, man, on defense. When you have Ginsley Alexis, Jean Giraud out there, man, that's like
Jordanson.
Jordanson Alexis also.
You talked about last week Jaffia Jones. You highlighted her offense, but her defense, she's again not a liability on defense.
No.
Gabrielle Poisson. There's another player on the roster. Let me see. Eunice Fotso. Very, she covers a lot of ground out there. Michael Lazar. She's a very good defensive player as well. So it doesn't extend to the male players. Noémie Olman as well plays with UQAM, I believe, or Université de Montréal, one of the 2 Quebec university programs. Man, these girls are very good on defense. This may be the best defense in Co-Ed 1, and that's where Chris and other Co-Ed 1 teams may struggle. Yeah, no, definitely.
I gotta give it to Ginsley or Jordanson, who built the team. They built a very, very good team this season. Looking forward to repeat again. Pardon their championship this season, and I think they have a very good shot for sure. But pass whipping is one of those teams that could give them a good challenge.
Yep, for sure. All right, in Co-Ed 2 here, Manu, as we move along. We look at the standings, and we have a lot of 4-win teams. So we're looking at the middle of the pack here in Pick 6, Kamikaze, and Bolas Profundas. Who do you think has the best chance at a Cinderella run into the playoffs?
Man, it's a very, very good question. I think I'll go with. I hesitate between Pick 6 and Kamikaze.
Okay.
I like Pick 6 how they're playing. I saw their last game at Loyola Outdoors.
Yeah.
I really like how their quarterback Cesar Garcia Diaz is playing. I only throws three touchdowns the whole season, which is a little bit surprising, but maybe he didn't play all the games at QB. Seth Galina plays also at quarterback, but that's a team with a lot of IQ, very, very good football IQ. When you have Seth Galina on the squad, you can expect a very, very good offense, well-schemed offense, and on the other side of the ball, a really, really smart defensive play caller, really good player on defense. So I have a lot of faith in Pick 6 with guys like Thomas Chaussé, with players like Talia Gudino playing very well, David Sue. They're really like you don't know who they're gonna go with. So they got a bunch of players that can play very well. They got a good roster. And so I would give Pick 6 the greatest chance at having a Cinderella playoffs, but I wouldn't count out Kamikaze out the equation. It's a team that is very good also. Bolas Profundas, I'm not quite sure yet. Gonna have to see what's going on that side, but for Kamikaze, it's a good squad. Gabriel Lemonde is having a good season at quarterback, and I think they can also make a good run in the playoffs.
Yeah. For me, it's between Kamikaze and Bolas Profundas. I'm actually going to leave out Pick 6. You see on the roster, no one has more than 212 yards receiving. Cesar Garcia Diaz still learning the QB position in that last game. 8 of 18, 51 yards. I know he's a bit of a runner and a scrambler, but with like 2 TDs in that game and then 3 in the season, I'm not confident necessarily for him to make a Cinderella run. I would have to go more on the kamikaze squad with Gabriel Lemonde. He's sort of the William Brouard type of quarterback for that you see in fifth squad. And he has the pieces around him, right? Alexis Ferrand, as we mentioned before, Dive snapper with Steve Haraprasad and Bless. They have him lining up in the slot, sometimes the wide. He's a menace. Jean-Sébastien Saint-Arnaud, very, very good receiver. Adds a lot of height to the lineup, good hands. But then, again, the female talent is there on this team. That is what separates this team mostly from the other co-ed 2 teams. Rachel Shea, snapper, very solid, playing with Le Petit Miette. Catherine Bergeron. These are players that play in the women's divisions and try to get as many reps as they can. Very, very good receivers. Very good defenders as well. Gabriel Lemonde can be a very... I was going to say polyvalent, but very useful. That Swiss Army knife type player can sack as a rusher, can step back and drop back into coverage. Melisande Gertin, very underrated player defensively in the co-ed world. So I really like the cast of characters that this team has. Very solid squad all around. Not too many weaknesses. So I see Kamikaze coming out with a potential Cinderella run out of those set of teams.
I like that take. I think Gabriel Lemonde. I got to know him a little bit because he plays on Idaho. It's a great player, great guy. Also, I think he can lead his team. Gonna be fun to see in the co-ed too. Who's gonna have that Cinderella run, as you say.
Yeah, who's going to have the Cinderella run to who's going to carry the boat? Oh, come on, Manu. Look at that transition. Hey, man. Come on.
That's very good. I love it.
Look, Peas is the Peas and Mo are the smooth transitioners. I learned a thing or two.
I love it.
Look, that's looks like it's going to be the matchup here for who's going to get in between who's going to carry the boats and Nighthawks mix as the 2 teams do face off against each other. Who's going to carry the boats with 2 games left on their season? Nighthawks, this is their chance to maybe get into the playoffs if they do beat Alex Zalipski and the green lime green team in co-ed 2. So what's the preview here for that game? And then a 2-part question: can Nighthawks get the W? And will who's going to carry the boats lose both of their games in order for Nighthawks mix to get in? We'll start with the quick preview here of the game.
Yep. So who's going to carry the boats? Still not having the season they would hope for. Sitting straight on the edge of a playoff seeding. Alex Saplitsky is doing not too bad. Yes, the picks are very high, the sacks also, but gonna still have to. It's still a little growing pains for him, but gotta shout out to Kayla Gauthier, who's having a very, very good season for that team, leading the squad with 12 TDs, 30 reception on 39 targets, very reliable receiver. She's having a great season. She's putting her name out there as one of the best players, female players in co-ed 2. She's definitely going to make her move to co-ed 1. I brought her to sub in one of my games. She did very well. So I'm very proud of Kayla. And she's going to keep being better and better. The rest of the squad is good. You got Roxane Roy, Gabriel Fortin. The guys are a little bit less involved this season with who's going to carry the boats, which is a little bit surprising when you have Mason Miller and Benjamin Denis. Good receivers on this team, but to preview the game against Nighthawks mix, I think that who's going to carry the boats has it. The reason why is on Nighthawks mix, I didn't see a lot of sacks in their team. And why I say that is because Alexandre Staplitsky is a quarterback that likes to run. He likes to like move around in the pocket. And if you don't have a rusher that's there to put some pressure on him, that's when he can be very dangerous. And that's where who's going to carry the boats as a team are very dangerous, because the players know where to, when Alex starts to move around, they know where to find spots, and that's where they are successful. So that's what is worrisome to me in the side of Nighthawks, because Nighthawks mix, they don't have that like rusher that could put pressure on Alex. So that would be my take on that game. I think that who's going to carry the boats going to win that game and make the playoffs, and ultimately, unfortunately, leave Nighthawks mix out of the playoff contention.
Yeah. I mean, look, both quarterbacks with a bit of a higher interception count on the season, right? Both in the double digits, almost close, not exactly, but almost close to the 20 interception mark. So, look, maybe both teams might make two mistakes, throwing 2 interceptions. Maybe it's going to come down to which defense can make that third interception. I think you're right. No one on Nighthawks mix, unless they pull Stefano De Seta or Marc-Antoine Martin out of coverage, who have 9 interceptions out of the 10 for the team, and have them rush Alex Lipsky. That could be a strategy that they want to deploy in order to beat who's going to carry the boats. But, you know, on the offensive side of the ball for Nighthawks mix, I mean, who's going to carry the boats have the players on defense to cover Stefano De Seta and Marc-Antoine Martin, right? Because that's where, again, like on defense, that's where primary, like 90% of the offense is coming from, right? 565 yards, 554 yards. Whereas who's going to carry the boats offense, you see a lot more players with 150, 170 yards. So the depth is a little greater, but the higher end level talent is on there for Nighthawks mix, which gives them a chance to win this game against who's going to carry the boats. Maybe who's going to carry the boats is like maybe a 1.2 point favorite, but in those games, like I said, a third interception could be the deciding factor on this. And then the strategy, like you said, that they deploy, who's going to rush Alex Lipsky. Maybe they have a wild card up their sleeves or a good game plan in effect. So definitely going to be an interesting one. So let's say Nighthawks mix does win it, Manu. Who's going to carry the boats? Would still have another game against Pig 6. Your favorite for a Cinderella run. Would they lose that game? Who's going to carry the boat?
Man, I think they would, just because.
Okay.
I think Pick 6, even though like offensively hasn't been like the best, I think that defensively with Seth Galina out there and the rest of the squad, I think they can give some problems to a struggling quarterback like Alex. So I would go with Pick 6. So I think that game against it's very, very crucial. So looking forward to it, to the next game for who's going to carry the boats. Try to go out there and minimize the errors and run around, because if you don't have a rusher that can stop you, take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last division here, Manu, Co-Ed 3. Looking at the race for receiver of the year in Co-Ed 3, very tight one. So let's break it down here, because it's not that simple. You have Marc-Antoine Martin, of Block Party, putting up the TDs in Co-Ed 2 and Co-Ed 3. He's got 18 on the season, but 320 yards, quite a significant number as a decrease as we'll go along. You have Zachary Alberts-Gill with 17 TDs, 459 yards, so definitely a higher yardage count total. Alessandro Francion, 418, 16 TDs. Lucas Quinville, you know, now you sort by the yard marker, the only receiver with 500 yards, 15 touchdowns. So And then you even have Justin Leblanc-Guindon, Samuel Omombo with around 450 yards, 13 and 15 touchdowns respectively. So how do you see this breaking down? Because there's a lot of 400-yard, 15, 16 touchdowns. Man, it's close for receiver of the year here.
Man, it's very close, and I wonder, do we go into the converts? Maybe.
Yeah.
But when I looked at the converts, there's none of those like top guys are in there for the points, 1 point converts and 2 point converts. So gotta look to like the main sheet as far as the receiver of the year. That's where I always question, like, do we value more the yards or the touchdowns? Because if you value more the yards, gotta give it to Luka. Luka Kenville having a very, very good season. Like you said, 508 yards, averaging 14.5 yards per reception. Very impressive. Can't leave out Samuel Omombo, also having a high averaging 21.6 yards per reception. But if you look at the top of the TDs, Marc-Antoine Morin, Zachary Albert-Gill, I didn't know he was a receiver. I just learned it now. I'm just kidding, Zach. I'm just kidding, Zach here. But yeah, very tight race. And since we can't go to the converts, man, I have to go with the receiver who has the most yards, and Luka Kenville.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'll value the yards a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredibly close. I mean, it's obviously going to come down to the last game and who can put up kind of the best stats on both ways.
Yeah.
I think you have to take Sam Omombo out of the equation because it looks like he's going to run away with two-way player of the year.
True.
So I mean, for me, it comes down between Luka Kenville, 508.15, and Zachary Alberts-Gill, 459 and 17. And then at that point, right, the difference is 40 yards more for Luka, 48 to be exact, or 49 to be exact, so more like 50. So do you value 50 yards or 2 touchdowns more? And Luka has 6 more receptions. I mean, and on less targets as well. Yeah. Now that could be the quarterback and not necessarily the receiver. So I mean, still 6 more receptions is still 6 more receptions. It really boils down to 50 yards versus 2 TDs, which is really, really tough to negotiate. Yeah. And I think the tiebreaker would be the 6 more receptions that Luka had, which is crazy because like that he caught 6 more balls over like 9 games. If you look at it right now, man, I can't recall. I mean, it happens. I just can't off the top of my head, but I can't recall a receiver of the year race so tight like this one. Man, it's gonna be fun for sure.
One more game left for the 2 of them. So maybe in those games either one can separate from the rest. Zach with the Michael Scott Tots are playing Panini Pressers in the last game, and for the 1-9ers they got the Straw Hats as their last game.
Both teams, both defenses aren't necessarily the strongest in co-ed 3, so I think there's a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns to be had in these games. And trust me, these guys are going. They're telling their quarterback, "I have a receiver of the year on the line. It's co-ed 3. Feed me the ball. Let me do my thing." So it's gonna be interesting to see how far exactly they push that in the huddle. Definitely fun things to look out for. And then So
you're telling me that these guys are like Jerome Ovington? They asked for the ball, huh?
They both. So maybe a little bit of Jerome has rubbed off on both of these guys.
That's it. That's why. Huh?
Exactly. And then to wrap up the show here, Manu.
Yes.
In co-ed 3, of course. When we go back to the standings and talk the standings here in co-ed 3, I want to know the of the top four seeds. So you got Block Party, Bonzit, One and Niners, and La Sect. Which top four seed is most likely to be a one and done in the playoffs?
Oof, man, that's something you really, really don't want as any team, but especially after you have like that successful of a season, being one and done, it's very, very tough. I've been there personally. I know how it feels. It does not feel good. So first of all, I don't wish that on any team that I'm going to talk about. But yeah, when
was
I look
that
at
was that your free agent squad?
Free agent squad and Air Force One, we lost in the first after a good season. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. It's still there's still some scar tissue there.
Yeah.
I think so. I think the Air Force One was that you lost outdoors Loyola on like a convert. Was it overtime?
Yeah, we lost on overtime, going for one to tie the game.
Oh man!
But let's not talk about it, Iggy.
Okay. All right. Opening
kidding.
That wound.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, when I look at it, like One and Niners is a team that went to the finals, so I would take them out. Bonzit is having an amazing season, and they got players from that played in higher division and that got a lot of experience. So I would take them away because they got a plus minus of 288 points in plus minus. So I wouldn't go with them. So that leaves with La Sect. It's a team that I don't know as well, but man, they got our leading is Samuel playing on that team? No, maybe
Alison Francillon.
No, that's it. Alison Francillon is also a player that is in the top receivers. So
along with Justin Leblanc Guindon, both of these guys, 400 yards receiving, 16 and 13 TDs each.
There you go. So I'd have to go with La Sect, but it's just because I know them a little bit less, and I know that's not a great argument, but I have to look a little bit at their schedule. Yeah, they've been like. Oh yeah, there you go. So that's my point.
Oh,
they only won against Michael Scott Tots by 1 point. So that would be, and Michael Scott Tots is sitting like they're like one of those teams that they could face in the first rounds. Yeah. So I think that could be that's my reference for my answer. I think La Sect is most likely to be one and done. But when I look at it, I don't really think that any of those teams can lose in the first week. But I would go with La Sect just because they had that tight game against Michael Scott Tots, who's a team that is a little bit lower in the standings.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it, right? I see their losses are to One and Niners week 1, and then Block Party 34-12 in week 8. But then when you're looking at those teams on the bottom or the bottom half of the bracket, they beat Free Agent Squad decisively 43-12.
Yeah.
They beat Gold Diggers 33-26, not decisively, but still a one full possession. They beat Pookie's 26-6, so by 20 points there. Chef Bonzit they beat by 12. So they're beating the Straw Hats. They beat by 25, only allowing 2 points. So they're beating the teams below them quite handedly, and then their only losses have been to the teams above them. So yeah, I think the question naturally asks which of the 4 teams is most likely to be one and done. But I think I'm with you that I don't think any of them are going to be one and done. But La Sect, they're not. So great season, 7-2. Not the first season for Nicolas Caterellos to be throwing in general. He did throw in this past winter season, and maybe even a few seasons in the wrong divisions, meaning he was like throwing in Div 4 and Div 5 in your first season. Very difficult. So he's kind of done the reverse. He's gone from high up down to the lower divisions to throw. But the first time on this team in Lesect. Lesect's always had good athletes, but never really got the play calling down and a good rhythm for the game. And we're always notorious for going like 1-9, 2-8, maybe 3-7. So this is their first true, very successful season, sitting at 7-2. Might even go. Bonzit is going to be another challenge, so they may end up going 7-3. But that's a good season. But they're not. All this to say that they don't have that winning pedigree as a franchise. They're actually more known as actually being a losing franchise, and it's refreshing to see them sitting at 7-3. Good for them. I love to see it. I don't think they're going to be one and done, but out of those 4 teams, like you said, I think they're the most likely to be one and done.
Yep.
Manu, that does it. That does it. We said it was going to be short. Omar, I don't know exactly what the time count on it was, but when you have 2 guys that love talking flag as much as we do, it's kind of hard to hold ourselves back, isn't it?
There you go. But thank you, Iggy, for having me today. It was very fun, and to everyone playing in their final games or 2 games left, go out there, have some fun, enjoy it. First of all, I always say have some fun out there. That's why we play the game. And for the teams that won't make the playoffs, enjoy those last games and get ready for the next season. And for the teams that make the playoffs, see you in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, just double check your rosters. Make sure everyone that has 4 or 3 games played can be there for your last games. And then, of course, the FPF 5v5 tournament. Look for that on our social media page. Look out for those emails in your inbox. Registrations are open for that. So definitely you're going to want to lock your place in. Start building your roster right away because the tournament is 5 weeks from now. August 17th, Saturday, August 17th, Sunday, August 18th. So definitely want to see you all out there. Going to be a hell of a time. And that's it. Good night, Manu, Iggy Magnets.
Sign out. Thank you, guys.
Put the place up. Yeah, we know what